Thank you for joining this webinar from Aweber and featuring a guest from SocialBee, Anca Pop. She's going to be talking all about what a social media calendar is and how to save time and get better results by creating one. She is covering a lot in the next 40 minutes, but don't worry, this presentation is being recorded and we'll send you the slides after the presentation. Anca has 10 years of marketing experience and 5 years specifically with SocialBee. So she really knows her stuff. I'm actually excited to learn a lot today. Just a note for everyone, we have pre-recorded this presentation and we are going to be hanging out in the chat answering questions. So please feel free to ask anything whenever you think of it. And I appreciate all of you for being here today. So why don't you kick it off, Anca?
Awesome. Thanks for the awesome introduction. Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. Thank you for the opportunity to share some amazing knowledge with you all. So as you said, we are going to talk about creating a calendar for your social media. And I'm going to give you a few tips, a few tricks, and then a proven template to go with it. I just want to share a little bit on why you should have a content calendar. So you can see a few reasons on the screen already. You can broaden your perspective, you can plan ahead, you can work more efficiently, generate more ideas, all of that. Pretty much what a content calendar does is that it gives you everything laid out so that when you do the actual work, it's less work to do and it takes you less time. So that way you can focus your energy on a lot more getting done for your business and just a little time for acing your social media. So we're going to talk about a 3-step framework in creating a social media calendar. And you can repeat this monthly or however frequently you'd like in order to prepare your content for the following period. So you can see that this is organized in 3 steps: 1 before creating the calendar, 2 in the meantime or during when you're actually creating the calendar, and the 3rd step being after you create the calendar. This is where you will learn how you can leverage social media, how you can plan ahead and work with all of the tools that you have to bring them all to your advantage. And so I'm curious if you're ready to learn all of that. Are you?
I am super ready. I'm really excited to learn this today.
Great. Awesome. Then let's kick it off with the first step. This is where we'll learn how you can determine the types of content that you're sharing. It's where you're going to look at what content brings you most value, who's your target audience, where are they hanging out, and all of that. So first, let's look at how you can determine the platforms that will bring you most value based on your audience. First step is to look at who your target audience is. And I have a few ideas laid out there about kind of where each generation tends to go for social media. So we know Generation Z, Gen Z, they love TikTok. There's like studies that say that they use TikTok as a search engine more than Google. On the other hand, millennials and Gen X will not do that. They will still turn to Google. So you can look at your audience's generational pattern to kind of find the best platforms for each.
I'll let you know, as a millennial, we're kind of in the middle.
Yeah,
most of my friends probably still go to Google, but I go to TikTok fairly often. Yeah. So we're wild cards. Don't try to sell us. Well, or we're everywhere,
It depends also what type of millennial you are. Are you more towards the Gen X part, or are you more towards the Gen Z part? Depends on what year millennial you were born. I'm actually right in the middle. I'm in the 90s, so I'm clear millennial, and I go for both.
It's definitely, I do like to point that out, though, that, you don't have to just be selling, lipstick to 22-year-olds to, take a look at some of those platforms that you wouldn't traditionally have looked at in the past.
Absolutely. And actually, that was my second point, because you look at the audience and where the generational pattern is, but then you also look at the type of content and what works best for that type of content. Things that can be sold more visually, even if it's service like a spa therapy thing, coaching, things like that, that could be more visual, work best with visual platforms. Even if maybe your target audience is not necessarily the generational target audience for that specific platform, but it works. TikTok works very well with educational content. LinkedIn works well with B2B content, things like that. So you can look at kind of like the industry that you're in and how you can frame that into each platform's specifics, kind of. So once you've done that, we can look at your social profiles and what they've done so far.
What would you say to somebody who says, I don't think that social media marketing is worth it at all? Not even a single platform. It's too much, and I'm not seeing the return.
I would say if you're not on social media in this day and age, you're dead as a business. Honestly, simply because everyone has access to a phone these days. Everyone is going to look up your name before they go into the shop, or before they book a session with you, or before they do anything to interact with your business. Even if you're not going to social media to promote your business, social media is a great way to keep customer success, because you can keep your customers happy, help them if they have any questions. It's great to keep your audience engaged and to keep your brand top of mind. So, if you're selling something that doesn't really work on a day-to-day basis, I don't know, a massage, you don't go to a masseuse every single day, but you do it every once in a while, you can keep your audience warm by just reminding them that you're there. And then whenever they need that massage, they're going to come to you instead of going to your competition. And that's how social media can help.
I love that. And one of my favorite things about this and doing the content calendar is, you see all of these platforms and you're like, oh, there's like 80 million of them. And, I don't know what to do or where to go. But the cool thing about this is, this is a presentation for, team of one. And Anca understands, and I understand that you have so much other work to do, including doing the massages, or doing whatever work it is that you actually do, but also all of your other marketing efforts and financial stuff. And so that's what's so cool about the content calendar, is that it can help you approach social media in general without having it be the only thing you have time for.
Exactly. You can just take one day out of your entire month to focus your efforts on your content calendar and your plan, and then you're all set. And the following month, you don't even have to take a full day. You just need maybe 4 or 5 hours to plan ahead the content for the entire month. And then you're all set, and you don't have to keep it top of mind and just stress about, oh my God, I don't have posts for my Facebook. I don't have any reels for Instagram. Oh my God, what am I going to do? You don't have that.
All right, so I'll stop interrupting you to sell everybody on what they already know they need, and let you keep telling us how to do it right.
Awesome. So let's talk about how you can look at what your profiles have done so far. Look at your content and see what has been working for you. Look at engagement, look at shares, comments, likes, things like that. But also look at content that hasn't worked for you. That's a very good indicator of what your audience does not want to see. So if you have any posts that don't have any traction, they don't have interaction, those are actually good insights to have on what not to replicate in the future. Next up, once you have all of that audit going on, you can look at the types of content that are relevant to your actual audience. And here I have 2 questions for you. What do you want to achieve through posting on social media? This will be the goal that you have that helps you create that strategy. You create the strategy to work towards a goal. So if you want $10,000 in sales, you create the strategy with actionable points to get you to that $10,000. The one thing that I should mention here is that you don't want as I said, there, increase sales. That's too generic. You won't be able to measure that in any way. You want something specific that you can do within the next year, the next 12 months, things like that. And the second question that I have here is, what are the interests of your target audience? Again, with this target audience thing, you can do like a template target audience, name them Anna, Paul, whatever you want, and kind of create a person that would be the ideal person, the ideal buyer, and think what they would like to see, what they as a person would follow on social media. Would it be memes? Would it be infographics? Would it be educational content? What type of person are they? Use that to your advantage to create your content types. What do I mean by content types? Well, there's a lot of content that you can share out there. And if you just share promotional content where you promote your business over and over and over again, it can lead to something called audience fatigue. That's where your audience gets bored of seeing the same thing over and over again and then ignores you completely. And you don't want that. So what you can do instead is that you can create a balanced content mix by using different types of content to kind of create a little hive like we have here and balance it out. I like comparing this to a balanced diet where you want your greens, you want your carbs, you want your protein, you want your fat, all of that together to make it balanced and healthy. The same thing goes for your social media content. And I just want to take a few moments to go through each type of content that I have in there to just give you a few ideas on how you can use that to your advantage. So starting with promotional content, this will be the core of your strategy. This will promote your business. I advise you to not go over 20% of your content with this type of content, because it can quickly lead to fatigue. If you're promoting, and not adding any outside value, that can bore your audience. We don't want that. So keep it on the 20-ish% mark of your entire content. I said here you can use offers, events, launches, demos, tutorials, things like that to promote your business, whether it's a service, a product, anything like that. Here are a few examples of promotional posts that you can see throughout the internet. I just used a few there. Then I'm going into evergreen content. This is the type of content that you can reuse over and over again. This is something that doesn't have any time sensitivity. So there isn't any date mentioned, any special event, any seasonal event, nothing like that. You can use it with testimonials, reviews, case studies, guides, things like that. And this is something that you can set and forget. Pretty much you create a category with all of your content, testimonials, for instance, and queue it up, and it just goes in a rotation so that you don't have to do anything but maybe add a new one when a new testimonial pops up. And that's it.
Can you do you mind giving, well, I guess you're going to give some examples right now, but just like, a couple of examples of what that content might look like for a real business.
Sure. So a testimonial could be something, I don't know if you can see my mouse on screen, but a testimonial would be like the one from Gather Up here. That's a review. It's like putting more authenticity into the business because it brings a real person who actually benefited from that service into the equation. And it gives more authenticity to it.
I love this. When I worked with small businesses on their Google profiles, which is the first job I ever had in marketing, I was always saying, like, go out, get reviews, get reviews, get reviews. And what I love about this is it's just a screenshot of a review. So you're already working to get reviews, and you should be. And then in order to create this content for social, you just have to screenshot. You don't have to write anything. You don't have to design anything. It's great.
Yeah. And if you do want to style it a little bit, you can work with Canva and just copy the text in there and work it into a template or something. So that's not a big deal as well. But yeah, you can definitely just screenshot it, put it out there, covered it with some color, and that's it. So it's easy to do. Moving on to some entertaining content, because social media has to be entertaining. I'm pretty sure that all of you have your phone at some point during the day and you're just scrolling through Facebook, through Instagram, through TikTok, whatever it is, you're scrolling there. And if it's
Not
not
me.
entertaining,
I only work at my computer. I put my phone away. I definitely don't get on TikTok and Instagram after work or at any time during work. So, but most other people do, I think.
yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure.
I never get on Facebook to write a post and then end up 20 minutes later still on
No,
Facebook. So
no,
this must be referring to other people, but yeah.
absolutely. No, of course not. Yeah, well, entertaining content, funny, memes, challenges, trending videos. You know, TikTok is a lot reliant on trends, and you know, it's so easy to do like a trend on TikTok. You just use that sound and you make a video making a fool of yourself. And it works. It actually works. People actually like that because it brings in some, you know, charisma. It brings in all of that. And here are some examples that you can use. So you can use memes, you can use you know, special events, St. Patrick's Day, Christmas, St. Valentine's, whatever it is that you know that works for your business. We use with SocialBee, we use the International Day for Bees, of course. So that's, you know, it can be so random and it can be so fun and exciting for your audience to see something like that. Entertaining content is different from interactive content because, you know, with entertainment, you laugh and you scroll away. With interactive content, you actually answer a question, you join a contest, a giveaway, you talk and argue in a debate, or, you know, you fill in the blanks, you answer a poll, you do something to engage. This is the type of post that will help increase your engagement with your audience. And we all know engagement rates are going down. So whatever you can do to keep them as high as possible, do it. These are a few examples. I have fill in the blanks here. I have polls. I have would you rather. Some of my favorite giveaways are great ways of engaging your audience. You know, you can give a free massage if we're keeping with the theme. You can give a free bottle if you're selling water bottles. I don't know. I'm just throwing random examples into the mix, but pretty much you can use whatever you have. It doesn't have to be costly to create engagement. Next up is educational content, which is another big piece of content on social media. People, if they're not going to look for entertainment, they are going to look for education. So tell them how your service or your product helps them, makes it better. Tell them industry best practices, tips and tricks, how you can use specialty industry terms and things like that. So for instance, I recently used the water bottle example, and it's one that I use all the time. If I were to sell water bottles, I could use educational content like 10 tips to help you drink more water. And that's something that I can find outside on the internet. I think that's it's like a sea of that type of articles. But there's also like something that I can do. Like I can say, you know what, just set a reminder to drink more water throughout your day. Use a water bottle that you like to kind of make it interesting, you know, things like that. It doesn't even have to mention the product to be effective. Here are a few examples of that. I have one shameless plug here, just so that, you know, you can get a better idea on how you can educate your audiences. And then you can also motivate your audiences as well. Use success stories, motivational quotes, advice, interviews, things like that, that would keep the momentum going. A few examples here are, I think that's a reel from Dove, and then UNESCO as well. Curated content, this is one that people tend to have a side eye to. They might say something like, and I'm sure some of you are doing this already, why should I share someone else's content? Well, because it brings you more authenticity. If I'm saying drink more water because I'm selling the bottle, it doesn't give much value. But if you're saying that and I'm sharing it and you have no affiliation with me, it just keeps me top of mind. And whenever they read that using a bottle might help you with drinking more water, first person they're going to think of is me. You can share news, articles, tutorials, speeches, videos, things like that. You can share all of this information that doesn't mention any specific product. So it doesn't have product placement in it. It just helps with information. It brings you authority, as I said, and it also saves you a lot of time because you don't have to do the work. And that's amazing. Here are some examples on how you can do that. Honestly, my best advice here is to get RSS feeds from different sources and keep them somewhere where you can actually filter through them and quickly share them so that you don't waste a lot of time on it. So we've done all that part. We're looking now at how you can create your content calendar. This is the second step that we're doing, and it's going to talk about building your calendar using elements that are common, as well as planning your posts according to the best practices and the best times to post according to each platform. So when we're structuring the calendar, these are a few elements that we want to look at. We want to see the social network that we're posting on. First of all, let's say we focus on Instagram. We want to look at Instagram best practices specifically, which right now are maybe video and image. They don't like links. They don't have links. So we're not going to focus on links right now. For Instagram, we are going to think about the visual elements of the post as a primary thing. For Facebook, maybe not so much. Facebook has a lot more text and a lot more links options, so you can think about it that way. Obviously, also think about the copy of the post and all of that. I'm sharing this screenshot of SocialBee here because I wanted to show you exactly what a content mix looks like up close and personal. This is actually our schedule, and you'll see that we have different categories that are color coded, and we have them scheduled at different times. And so that way, when I go in to create content, I look at it and I know, okay, so I need to add one news piece, I need to add a blog post, I need to add something educational, I need a help video that's a tutorial on how to do something, and I also need some posts for Instagram, So that way I can build my calendar by just looking at the schedule that I have laid out there. Next up, you have to look at how and when you're publishing your content. And here you're going to look at 3 things. As I said here, the ideal number of posts in a week for each platform. TikTok allows and accommodates a lot more posting than Instagram does, for instance. So you can look at those in comparison. You can look at the general best practices for each platform, as well as when your particular audience is online. And I'll show you how to do that. Here are some best practices, and take some time to screenshot this if you want to. Yes, we will share the slides with you afterwards, but here are a few ideal posting frequencies and posting times for the main 4 platforms that are top platforms of the moment right now. You'll also be able to do so for TikTok, Google My Business, and Pinterest as well. So as you can see, there's quite a few differences. With TikTok, there's a lot of optimal posting times. With Facebook, it's typically just a few, for instance. So you can see the major differences between platforms as well. After creating the content, step 3, this is where you track, you analyze your content, you look at what worked, what didn't, and then, of course, you do a celebratory dance, because why not? Let's see how you can track your social media analytics. So you can look at 3 main things: reach, engagement, and conversions. And I gave you a few examples of KPIs that you can track with each one of these areas. With reach, you can look at post reach, impressions, shares, followers gained and things like that. With engagement, you can look at comments, shares, mentions, clicks, things like that. With conversions, you can look at click-through rates. You can look at costs if you're sharing them, boosting the posts and creating ads. You can look at your analytics to see how many people from your social media came over to your website and generated traffic and things like that. And of course, do the celebratory dance. This is something that we do every single time because you have to. It's a win. Take it. Celebrate it. Cool. So we've gone through the 3 steps and we've reached the end. We have created our calendar. So here are a few tips on how you can optimize it and make it even better for your social media and for your time. First of all, don't spread yourself too thin. I've seen this over and over again where people are struggling because they're trying to do so much in so little time. Start small. Go with a few platforms. Go with a few posts. I always say that you don't have to post every single day. Best practices for Instagram say post once a day, sure, but you don't have that time yet. You don't have the experience. You don't have the knowledge yet because you don't have the calendar build up yet. Once you do that, you can start small, maybe 3 posts per week, maybe 1 post per week. That's okay. As long as you're consistent with your schedule, it's perfectly fine to reduce frequency.
So Anca, you're saying quality is more important than quantity
Absolutely.
at the beginning.
If you look at my screen, you can see that direct your attention to creating quality posts and not quantity. Yeah, absolutely.
Although I will say, while you're trying to put some time and effort into the posts, but while you're trying to figure out which ones are going to work the most, don't be afraid to try a few things.
Yes. But also just don't throw it out just because you have to post, That's kind of what I meant with the quality type. So if you're gonna have 30 minutes a week to create content, maybe don't spread yourself thin and try to create 7 posts in those 30 minutes because it's not going to be quality. Create 1 post in those 30 minutes and that post you're going to be happy with.
I like that. And I like that in general as a time management for small business owners.
Yeah,
Don't think about how much you're going to produce. Think about how much time you have to spend on it.
exactly.
I have on Friday afternoons, I have 30 minutes that I can spend on this. I'm going to block that time off and I'm going to spend my time making the best posts that I can. And then I'm going to do the same thing next Friday. And then as things get easier, maybe in that time, you can actually create more.
Yeah, exactly. Or who knows, you might have found a new passion with doing that over time and you can allocate a little more time. Because one thing I noticed is that some people dread social media so much because they don't have inspiration. But what they don't have is a plan.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I think about this lots in terms of my own productivity where I'll think through stuff and I'll, writing a blog post or any kind of social media, I've got an idea and then I put it off till the next day and then, oh, maybe I should do it this way or that way. But at some point you got to put pen to paper and just make something. And I think that social media is one of the best ways where you can make imperfect.
Absolutely.
Even if you try hard, but it's okay to be imperfect because it's so temporary.
Exactly. Yeah, it's super easy to just set it, forget it, and then take it all over again next week. The second thing that I have here on my list is to use a balanced mix. And I have my favorite rule, the 80-20 rule, where 80% of your content is used to inform, educate, and entertain your audience. So remember the types of content that we talked about before, use those 80% of your week's worth of content, and then 20% to promote your actual services. Let's say you have time to create 6 posts per week. That would be 4 posts to inform and educate and entertain, maybe 1 post that has some soft selling skills like a review or a testimonial or things like that, and then 1 hard sell post that would go through the benefits of using your service or your product. And that would be all that you need in a week's time. And repeat that formula every single week, and you've done it. That's it. The third thing, and this is something that me as a visual person adores, is to create a color-coded system that works for you. So with SocialBee, you can see it in the screenshot here. We have a category-based system so that each type of content that you share can have its own little home and its own little space so that you can queue the content up inside and you don't have to worry about dates and all of that. So you can color code that to work with whatever color system you have in your mind. And it's simple because this way you just look at this and you know, oh, purple, that's activism. That's what I have to work on. So you don't have to sit and think too much. You know, you're efficient, making your system more efficient that way. Last tip that I have, shameless plug again, is to use a tool to create and schedule your content from one place. And of course, I'm going to be talking about SocialBee here because honestly, it's the sweetest thing in the world. I cannot get enough of how many features we have in SocialBee. And let me just show you a few of them. First of all, let me tell you what actually is SocialBee because I just realized I never did. We're a social media management tool, so we can help you with creating, scheduling, and analyzing your content for social media. So you can connect your social profiles in SocialBee, just as you see on the screen there, and then you create your content right there, share it to all of your platforms. You don't have to move from platform to platform, schedule it all at once, and then look at the analytics once a month, and that's it. This is what the content categories look like. This is what posts look like in SocialBee. So this is what a category would look like. And you can add your post from the Add New Post button at the top there. And your posts can be either approved or set to draft. So if you're working with a team, you can set them to draft and have the manager approve them, or the client. If you're a freelancer, that's also something that works. So you have all of this these amazing tools to work at your disposal. You can save your hashtags, you can automate content flows and all of that. This is what the post editor looks like. This is where you can create your content particularly, and there are several tools to use to your advantage here. You can use integrations, you can use mobile reminders if you want to share to some outside profiles, like Facebook personal profiles, for instance, where you can't really schedule things. You can add variations to your content to kind of create a countdown for the event, for instance, or just rephrase that testimonial a little bit, the benefits of the service a little bit. You can customize the post for each platform to make it work best as it can for that platform. You can add posting times, add a category, set your content to expire, and all of that in one place. The schedule setup, this is where you work with categories and with different platforms to kind of create your content mix. And one thing you'll see here at the bottom, you can't really tell it, but you also have some statistics, the schedule stats that are right there. That's actually a table with the percentages of how much content you're sharing from each category in a week's time. So that will help you balance out your content mix. Whew, that was a lot, wasn't it? Let's summarize.
Yeah, so everyone go out and do all of these things right now. No, there was a lot there, and I think no matter where you're at in your journey, this, you can take something away from this.
Absolutely.
In the next step, whether it's even just putting that 30 minutes on your calendar to start thinking about this, or start figuring out a tool or something like that.
Yeah, totally. It doesn't have to be all done at once. You can take the small steps and just, today, work a little bit on figuring out what your goal is. Tomorrow, work a little bit on figuring out what platforms are best for you. The next week, work on your audience. The next week after that, maybe start working on the content strategy, on all of that. So step by step, small steps, and you'll get there eventually. look at your content, look at your platforms, focus on what types of posts already resonate with your audience, create a balanced mix, and look at when the right time to post is. And I did mention, and I forgot to say, when looking at your audience, you can look at when your audience is online for each platform from your phone. Typically, when you're scheduling content, one thing I notice is that most people go for on the dot hours. So it's going to be 7 a.m., it's going to be 9 a.m., it's going to be 1 p.m. But if you go 1:03, that already looks more authentic to your audience. So use a random minute to schedule instead of a on the dot sharp hour. I'm really hoping that you're all ready to schedule your content in your calendar. You can see I'm a millennial from all the GIFs that I'm using, right? Cool. So if you're ready to start your calendar journey, you can use SocialBee to do so. And we do have an offer for everyone who has been paying attention today and taking notes. So you can use the code Aweber50 when you purchase your SocialBee license. And that way you'll get 50% off on your first 3 months.
Well, this was so amazing. Thank you so much for all of this information. Obviously, there's a lot to do here. If you're just getting started, or if your social media marketing hasn't been working to date, you feel like you've been doing a lot of work or intermittent work, this is a really great place for you to start. Start thinking about, what kinds of content to do, slow it down a little bit. Who are you targeting? Where are they hanging out? And I also urge everybody to, keep trying on this. Like we mentioned at the top, you have to do it to have a business these days. And so, it's so easy to see a presentation like this and then think, oh my gosh, but I tried a few things and it didn't work. You have to just keep powering through until you find the thing that really does work for you.
Experiment and experiment some more. And if this doesn't work, try something else. And if that doesn't work, ask someone for their opinion and see what they think works and try that. And hey, if at the end of the day you don't have the time, you don't have the knowledge, you don't want to, there are people who don't like this. You can always find a way to outsource this with an intern, with SocialBee, even with hiring someone. So there are ways to make yourself present on social media if you really, really don't want to do this. I typically urge every business owner to dive into social media at least a little bit so that they have a clear knowledge of what their positioning is.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Anca. I really, really appreciate you. This is the first in last week we did a couple of presentations about marketing for podcasters, but they're actually really relevant to any content creator or small business owner. So please go take a look at those. I will put the links to that in the chat and also in the description of this presentation. Also, we are doing this as a series throughout the fall. So this is called a Mastering Marketing series, and we are going to be doing one again next Wednesday. So please sign up to come join us next week, or watch out for that presentation after that. We're really looking to help you get ahead of your marketing. We're already in the holiday season, and so we're looking to help you get ahead of your marketing right now. So I appreciate everybody for coming and everybody for joining us, and we will see you all next time.